What's up, guys? Me and Larson are back. If you missed our SEC tournament coverage, go check that out. We broke down the SEC. We gave you a couple winners. I really like the picks, though. I feel like Alabama and Kentucky are pretty safe, and I wasn't hip to Vanderbilt like that. I think that's a pretty solid long shot. But now we're doing the ACC. It's funny because the ACC and the SEC have kind of switched in terms of being those power conferences. I mean, the Big 12 is obviously the top dog in all of college basketball, but the SEC is holding their own. The ACC is really not that good this year. You know, you've had two legendary coaches retire. Duke's still the favorite, but I just to kick us off, I think I kind of like Miami. Really, if you want me to take a favorite, I think I got to go with Miami.
Yeah, it's a pretty historically bad year for the ACC. Like Pittsburgh, even, who was 2 points away on Saturday from beating Miami and winning the ACC regular season, is not even considered a quad one win. So, I mean, what a straight. Clemson, who was winning the ACC for most of the year, might not make the tournament. I mean, what a down year. But I do like Miami too. I feel like Miami has been, if not the best team, one of the at least the most solid teams. And you've got the experience from last year. You've got the coach who Larinaga, I feel like his profile has just grown tenfold the last year. Everyone nobody cared who he was before, and everyone's now is like, oh, that guy's such a good coach, which he is. They have the good wins. They remind me a little bit of a team from last year, which is the Miami team from last year that got hot and went on a run. And they have everything you look for. I really like them. I'm not worried about them with their 8-9 game. Syracuse, Wake Forest, that's not really much of an issue for me. But we've talked about it. Like if you split this bracket up in half, the top half is so hard. It's going to be brutal to get out of there. The bottom half could be anybody. So I expect to see Miami at least in the semis, and you're getting them at plus 350, I think, which is pretty good value. They're not even the favorite, so I'll take that.
Yeah, and we talk about the ACC not being that strong. Virginia might be the most quiet number 6 team I've ever seen in my life. I have not heard a peep about Virginia all year. And they played that Tony Bennett style of basketball, but I don't know. I just can't buy Virginia. I did not catch any Virginia games this year, and they're almost ranked in the top 5.
Yeah, it's weird because Virginia usually is known for being good but under the radar because they're not flashy. They play a lot of defense, and this year it's like the ultimate kind of come together. Like they can't score, which makes them completely under the radar. People don't watch them. People don't like them. That's probably the reason that I can't bet them. They have this second best odds to win, but when your offense is as bad as theirs, the defense will keep you in games, but they also let these bad teams hang around for a long. Like Louisville almost beat them. Notre Dame almost beat them. It's things like that. Like I can't trust them. And I'll get to my shot. I guess I'll just get to my long shot here because it's in that part of the bracket. I don't take long shots like this a lot. This one's kind of a fun, but it's kind of realistic. Boston College is not going to win the ACC tournament, but I got them at 500 to 1, and they'll play Louisville. We know what Louisville is. They're 6-point favorites against Louisville. Right. They'll beat Louisville today. They'll be fine. And North Carolina, who we'll kind of touch on in a second on a broader topic, but I'm out on North Carolina. I'm completely. They have the roster, from last year and everything, but I'm just out on them losing over the weekend in a game you have to win. I'm not shocked if Boston College beats North Carolina in the second round. It just feels weird. And then you got Boston College in the quarterfinals, and you got a 500 to 1 ticket on them where they play Virginia, who let bad teams hang around because they can't score. So it just feels too weird of a pick, but that's kind of my long shot.
Worst case, you find yourself in a nice hedge. Worst case, you find yourself in a nice hedge spot.
Right. If they can just make the quarterfinals, they kicked Virginia's ass 2 weeks ago. They just won by 15 points. Boston College beat Virginia. And they went to the Dean Dome earlier in the year. They were 14-point underdogs, and they were in the game the whole time and lost by 6. So 500 to 1. It's probably gone down a little bit since then, but can you make the quarterfinals and give me a hedge? I think you can. But the broader topic, the broader thing there is I don't trust North Carolina and I don't trust Virginia.
Yeah. And if you look at NC State too, NC State's another team that I really like. And I don't know. I just like I said, we're talking about the ACC in ways that we have never talked about the ACC. It used to be like, who do you like? You like UNC or Duke? Which one is it? Maybe Syracuse or
Florida State
somebody like
had a
that.
few years where they were frisky in there, and
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a bad conference. I think this is still going to be Miami's to lose, though. I like Miami in the tournament too. I think Miami's going to be a really solid tournament team, but they're
yeah,
still Duke. Duke is still there. Duke is still Duke. They have not seen they've not had some of the troubles that North Carolina's had post Roy Williams, post Coach K. But I don't know. There's just something about Duke that doesn't excite me. They don't move. They don't move my needle like they used to. I mean, Derek Lively's not really having that great of a freshman year. I just really haven't been impressed with him so far, and that's what really is pointing me towards Miami.
yeah. People were waiting for Lively and Whitehead to like break out and be the guys on scene. It's been Filipowski who's really come in and been
Yeah,
kind of almost like an ACC Player of the Year candidate, and Shire has been a little underwhelming in his first year. But if you look at like their last 13 games, I went to Virginia Tech. That Virginia Tech guy punched Filipowski accidentally. It should have been a flagrant, and Duke would have won. They didn't call a
yeah,
flagrant, so they lost. And then they lost to Virginia on a really bad call at the end that sent the game to
yeah. I
overtime.
remember
So
that one as well.
they're that close to being 12-1 in their last 13. They're playing really good basketball. And if they play Pitt in the quarterfinals, like I just said, Pittsburgh almost won the conference, and they're not even a quad one win. They can beat Pitt with the way they're playing right now. So give me a Miami Duke semifinal, and we'll take Miami and Duke, and I'm fine with that.
Double hedge spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I completely agree. I just think it's so weird to talk about the ACC like this. I kind of figured Hubert Davis, he's made a Final Four, and Duke has still brought in 3 or 4 5-star guys, and it's just been really underwhelming. There's not a lot to get excited about, and like you said, we used to even be able to be like, oh, Florida State or somebody like that sneak in there, maybe like Wake Forest, like back when they had John Collins, they were a little frisky, but now it's just not that way anymore. And I guess if you made me pick one, I'm going to take Boston College just for the aforementioned reasons.
Boston College
I am going to take,
has to be a look for that price. Yeah.
I am going to take NC State. And I think if I'm actually going to pick a winner right now, I'm going to pick Miami. So I have Alabama winning the SEC and Miami winning the ACC. I know that is extremely boring, but that's kind of how college basketball has been this year.
Yeah, and the other, I mean, the bottom half of that bracket is anybody can come out. I've seen people start to really like Virginia Tech as an 11 seed, which I can kind of understand. The NC State one's a good pick. Terquavion Smith, Jarkel Joyner have 2 guys that can play. We haven't said Clemson at all. Clemson's the 3 seed.
Yeah.
They were winning the conference for most of the year. They might not even make the NCAA tournament. I'm kind of off on them. I mean, it's just a really weird, like, if there was a year for a 10 seed or an 11 seed to really like make the semis of the ACC, like it would be this year because of how awful it's been. Meanwhile, it's a dogfight at the top of the bracket. So, and I think a lot of we like to call them casuals. A lot of the casuals will look at this and be like, oh, Syracuse, Syracuse is an 8 seed. Look at this value. I don't even know what they are. You can get Syracuse at 100-1 to win, and Jim Boeheim and all this. Like, oh man, if you watch Syracuse for 1 or 2 games, it takes a few minutes to figure out they are not that good. This is a bad Syracuse team. So
the zone hasn't been zoning this year
at all. Yeah, and Boeheim's just off the rails. So yeah, I think we're good. My 3 were Duke, Miami, and Boston College. I feel good about that.
Yeah, I do too. Like I said, I took NC State for a little more flair just because it is a little more open. But I might take just a small bit on Duke just because you get that hedge spot because it does feel like it's going to be those 2. But we'll see. Like I said, if you haven't checked out the SEC recording, check that one out. We just finished up ACC. We're going to do the Big East next. And then tomorrow we're going to get some Big 12, Big 10, maybe some Pac 12. We'll talk about some other conferences. But yeah, see you guys shortly.